Yes, so then let me give you an insight into the solution, what we have developed. Yes. What we have developed in our project. As you can see, all this information is embedded into the broader picture of the e-justice portal that Gabriel has just described. Let me also say, as Gabriel mentioned, the EU funding calls at the end of the presentation. There will be one session this afternoon that deals with that issue more in detail, where we will talk about a follow-up project, a pro follow-up project. We hope that a couple of countries, or a lot of countries actually, will join us there. But there will be the chance to discuss this more in detail at the session in the afternoon, right at the end of today's conference day, actually. Okay, so let me get back to the solution. Yeah. So very simply put, the architecture that we have developed. You have on the left side here all the different, or an example of some user groups that might be interested in this kind of information. And on the right side, you have the national land register systems, the land register databases. I've put some examples here, but of course it is intended in the end to connect all existing land register systems. And in the middle, you see a screenshot of the LRI search interface. So the basic information here is that we have on the one side a lot of different user groups, and on the other side a lot of different land register systems. And in between there is one central search functions here. So this central search should serve all the different user groups. We do not have a specialized search interface for different kind of user groups, for example, but there is one central interface, and we also do not have different search interfaces for the different national land registers. There's one central search interface. But again, we keep the land register data separated in the national chunks as we have it today, but with a central search functionality. So key functionalities, of course, there is the search functions, and there are two search options. I will just demonstrate in a couple of minutes. So there is a EU-wide search, which is the main intent, I would say, of the land register search, where you can where you can do a cross-border search throughout the participating or the connected member states there. There is also the option to do a country-specific search. So you go to, you search, of course, only one country. The advantage of this one is that you can do probably a more specialized search, because that one country might give you additional search features which are only applicable in this country but not throughout Europe. So you would not have this very special search options for the EU-wide search, for the cross-border search, but only for the specific country. I will also show that in a demonstration right afterwards. The second key functionality is payment. I would think that in most of the member states, there are at least some documents which are not free of charge, which are only provided to the users after paying some certain amount. So of course also the central land register search has to deal with this issue. So it needs functionalities like a shopping basket, for example, where you put all the documents into which you want to buy. It also has to deal, of course, with a tax calculation, which is a quite sophisticated issue among 28 member states with different types of origins of taxes and so on. We will have a session on that in the afternoon as well, because as said, it's quite complicated and it will definitely takes more time than 30 seconds now to explain that. Now the third key functionality is authentication. Again, I would assume that in some or even most countries there is either the need to authenticate and be authorized to access land register data, or if the land register data is publicly available, then very often it's at least necessary to authenticate in order to have some additional search functions for only available for authenticated users. So also for the authentication, as it is not the easiest issue, we will have a separate presentation in the afternoon. But I would say these are the key functionalities we have to cover within the LRI project. So there's search options, the payment, and the authentication. Very simply put, and of course only an example, a workflow, how it would work. I think it's pretty straight away, no big surprises there. Let me guide you through it. So we would, in this example, we would have a user who authenticates and authorizes, as here in this example probably a notary, but could be some court clerk or whatever. Then this user would start a cross-border name query. The land register system would return back a list of results. Here the list of results would be then used by the user to browse a list of available documents, and the documents being of interest to the user would then be put into a shopping basket. Of course, this, or not of course, but in this example, let's say that the user selects a couple of documents not only from one member state, but from different member states. So the documents are in the shopping basket. What comes next is that the user starts the payment procedure. After the payment, the payment provider, so the one who manages all the payment stuff, would confirm the payment to the national land register, and then the national land register, upon this confirmation, would deliver all the purchased documents to the user, or to a place where the user can access and download the documents. So that's very simply put, and of course only exemplary, one still very typical workflow. Okay, and just for your understanding, because there will be some demonstrations today, there are different environments available for the development. So there is an environment for demonstration purposes, which has there are only some fake data in there, so no real data, of course, in this demonstration environment, but this environment is publicly available. I will use that one for my demonstration right away. And you can also take a look at the functionality of this demo environment outside. Maybe you have seen it in the lobby area here. We have a big touch screen where you can access this system and test it for yourselves, actually. Then this is just a good practice with IT development. There is a pre-production environment or a test environment which we use internally for testing purposes. There is, of course, only test data available, no real live data. But this is the environment where we, of course, first connected our national environments to. So today, and only today, this is also accessible and can be shown outside at the big touch screen how it works. And in the end, of course, there is, or there will be, a production environment once we are ready to go live with our system. In this production environment, of course, there will be the real deal. There will be the live data there that will be publicly available. Unfortunately, right now, there will be only limited functions, as we have heard also from Gabriel, that the payment solution, also the authentication solution, is not yet available. So at this production environment, everything at the production environment, there is everything available which can be accessed without payment or without authorization. Due to this limited functions, we, together with the Commission, decided to call it only a beta version of this environment. So it is the real data, but only with limited functions. But still, we would like to have it online, that users can already access it, and maybe we can gather feedback on the functionality of this environment. All right, demonstration. Now, this is go back to the last slide. So this is the very left column there, the demonstration environment of the European Commission. Let me just switch. Yes. So that's the first screen here. Just let me give you a rough guide what you can do at this demonstration environment. First of all, you have to choose if you're searching in all countries or only in one specific country. So if you choose here a specific country, of course, then you would have to choose which country you're looking for. So let's take the example of Austria. I'm missing some internet connection here. Let me just try to reopen. Okay, my session has expired. So that's what when you try to be good and prepare for something, then your session expires. All right, so specific country. For example, you go to Austria, you could choose different land registers if that's existing in your country. I think that in most countries this is not that is not applicable, but there are some countries who have 2 or more land register systems, I would say so. Yes, so you just select the country here and take the next step. But for the demonstration purposes, I will do this all countries search here. So clicking on next, and then you have a quite basic search form here. Again, not many or not one surprise here, just quite some regular search fields. So let's take my name, and that's basically it. You still have to tick the checkbox for the legitimate interest, as in some or most countries probably it is necessary to claim some legitimate interest. You, as always, have to agree to the terms and conditions. And then you click on search. So, and that's the result. Again, of course, I wish I would have all these properties, but this is only demonstration data here. So let's see. So in this demonstration data, we have found some properties in Belgium, Estonia, Italy, and Sweden. One more at the second page. Okay. So what you get here is a list of search results, of course. Then you have here further details on this single property. You click here on a few details and get some additional information on this property. But now you're interested in the available documents, like the land register excerpt and any additional documents that are available. So when you click on available documents, Yes, you again have here some metadata about the property itself, and down here a list of documents which you can access here. This is actually not a very nice example with a document 1, 2, and 3. Normally you would have some speaking title of the document here. Yes, so what you do now is, again, you tick the checkboxes of the documents you would like to access, you would like to buy, and then you add them to the shopping cart. So maybe let me scroll up. So you have here on the upper right corner, you have here the icon for the shopping cart. There are 0 documents in there. So now I will add these documents to the shopping cart. Let's take a quick look here. So these are in here already. Now I need another property. Let's take this one in Italy. I'll select just all documents. I also add them to the shopping cart. Yes, so I have 4 documents in my shopping cart. I'm happy with what I would like to buy. So I can access the shopping cart here. I see a summary of these documents. Yes, and I would like to buy them all. Yes, and then I prepare the order. I have to again fill in some order details, my email. This is necessary. I will just explain in a second why. I can also add some attachment or some description here. For example, if it's necessary to prove the legal interest you have, you could add this explanation in these fields here. And you have a list of all of the documents because the legal interest, of course, might differ from property to property. Yeah, again, you say something about your legal interest, you agree to the terms and condition, and then it's check out here. So then in between, now there would open up a page or whatever for the payment itself. As said before, as we do not have a payment solution in place yet, this step is skipped here for the demonstration environment. So we just assume that the payment has been successfully executed. I see the order details of my order here, so all the metadata. And again, a list of documents. And you can see here that the document status is pending. So what happens next in the background? If my order is approved, if my access to the documents is approved, I would receive an email from the system using the email address I have just entered before. And yes, and this email would then also contain a link to the documents which are available to me. So then I cannot demonstrate that in the demo environment anyway, but also on this presentation laptop here. But I think you can imagine the further process. So you receive an email where you have a link, you click on the link, and you can access your files. And you're done with that workflow. So that's basically it. Let me just show you the way you follow when you want to go for a country-specific search. Okay. So a country-specific search actually doesn't look that much different. Again, but now you have to select a country and the appropriate land register. When you click you will get you still can to choose which kind of search you would like to conduct. So you have still, or again, the EU-wide search form here, same as before. Let me collapse that. But here you have the Estonian search form, which is in this demonstration environment quite similar, but not the same, as you can see. So you have this information is the same here. But for example, in Estonia, for this use case, you have also the option to search for property address data or the property ID. That might not be the case in all of the countries, so that's the reason why there are country-specific search forms where you can offer the user a more detailed search options here. But the rest of the process is actually very much the same. You will receive a list of properties as the result, where you can access the documents, or not access the documents, but put them in the shopping basket. You buy the documents, you get a link, you pay, you get a link, you download the documents. So the difference there's no difference at the end, but just for the search functionalities. All right. Yes, so that's it for the demonstration purposes. Before we go into the coffee break, is that right? Coffee break would be next. I would also like to use our tool here. But I will need the code for that. We do it now. Yes, sorry. Okay, sorry. I still have to keep you away from the coffee break. I forgot one topic on the agenda. I have now demonstrated the workflow as it is used or intended in the demonstration environment. I will now hand over to Katri, who will show you the pre-production environment, the test environment. The workflow, of course, is not very much different, but we will have some test data there, which will give you probably a more practical insight into the things you can access there. Katri, please.
Thank you, Matthias. I will show you very quickly what is different in the pre-production environment, what is possible to do there. And we'll take an example of searching across all European countries. We'll tick the all countries search form, go to next. Oops, this always happens in every conference. Let me see if we can reload it and try again. So, all countries, next. If you want to search across all countries, there is only one form, and the form is based on searching for the property owner's data. There is two options, individual or company, and for the demonstration purposes, we assume there is one guy in Austria who happens to have properties in two countries. His name is Kevin, and Kevin, and his last name is Gruber. I will insert his name here. My Austrian colleagues, did I get the Kevin's name right? Yep, thanks.
See the result?
Yes, I hope I see the results. So in case of Estonia and Austria, we have slightly different possibilities in the country forms, country-specific search forms. But in this general form, there is not much we can change or do. So in this general form, we would have to indicate what is our legitimate interest in searching for Kevin's properties. Well, I just pick right now that there is an investigation going on, and let's see what else comes up. And now a little bit more about the missing terms and conditions right now. at the demonstration site and also here pre-production site, you cannot really read the terms and conditions. This is one reason to show you why we couldn't have this service alive and ready for public in the end of the project, because there are components missing from the European Commission's and the central LRI service side, which we cannot affect. For example, ticking the terms and conditions, we don't really know what they are. So I'm ticking and trusting right now to show it to you how it works. And we go into searching what does the Kevin have in terms of property. Let's hope the interconnection doesn't fail here and we get the results. Ta-da! Seems the guy Kevin we search for has two properties, one in Austria and one in Estonia. And we see the address, which is usually free data. If you want to see now, does the Kevin really own those two properties or there is somebody else with the same name? Unfortunately, we cannot prove it, because usually if you want to know more details about the person, you have to pay for it. Or you have to have a special rights to view. So what we can see is we can go on to view details and just have some more information about this property, but not that helpful information. And there is also possibility to see if there is any documents available regarding the property. And then we could order those as Matthias was demonstrating, basically selecting one of the documents and conducting the search, or putting it in the shopping cart. That was my intention. So the documents are placed in the chart, and then we can see what we selected and make an order. There is this step of making an order, which was something probably we also debated or discussed between the two partners, that can we see something right away? Why we have to order something in the first place? Right now the system is set up at the central LRI site in a way that you have to place the order, even if the document otherwise would be available quite quickly or instantly. And then, like Matthias also said, once you have placed you selected your documents, you put your name and you can order, and you can get the link on your computer. What I have to excuse here, could we demonstrate the receiving of the email as well right now? Okay, could you please come over and help me with that? Mm-hmm. So Matthias has ordered this one document, and as we see the label on the screen that the order has been placed, the central LRI system has sent it to the country of origin, and then the National Land Register of Austria will send the document or document link by email. This is the general search form for all European countries. Let me just also show you the Estonian one. We'll pick a specific country. There is two options now in this pre-production environment, the first piloting countries. And we only have one land register in Estonia as well, so no need to specify that. In a search form, what is possible for a country who provides data is to, first of all, give the property searcher some data, some instructions how to carry on the search, because once you start thinking every country has different set of data and different way of searching for it or providing it for people. Therefore, the country-specific search forms are different, actually. If you compare Estonia and Austria, they are different. We are able to show the search box for property owner data, where people can choose searching the personal code of the person, which is very typical in Estonia. We use personal identification code quite widely to search information from different places. And then we have this one guy. We should look it up in Estonia. His name is Jaak-Kristjan Jõeorg. Anyone know this guy? He should be fictional, so you shouldn't be able to know him. Well, you can also choose searching based on address, but right now I will show the name-based search. And also, if you know the terms which are not there right now. Also, you can use the property identification code or the cadastral code if you know it. And get the results accordingly. Let's see. There you go. Jaak-Kristjan Jõeorg has one property in Estonia. Very nice. You can see also the details here. The choice of details which is provided, unfortunately, is not modified, or it's not possible to add anything here. So we had to use the existing fields and show what kind of information we had. Then also it's possible to search for documents which are available, which are linked to this property. And right now in Estonian case, you will not find the actual documents. We have dummy documents there because there are reasons of rights or access rights, who can see what. And also, in the case of Estonia, if you want to have fuller information regarding the owner, you have to pay €3 for it. And as unfortunately, currently, European Commission has not solved the issue of having a proper payment system, then we won't be able to use that current system to actually buy something from there. But for this environment, for testing, we have decided with the partner that we have created the functionality of actually accessing the data without the payment intervening. So basically, this would also be the same logic that you add a file or a document to the shopping cart and then get it on the email. Time is running. I'm not going to continue further from here, but I will show you one more peculiar thing, which maybe raises questions, and you will have interesting discussions later about it. We have address information in Estonia considered as one field to search for. So you can actually put the data regarding the address in different fields. And what we decided here, once you start thinking of the entire Europe, you have to think that people come from different cultures. We think differently. So for Estonian case, we decided that it might be best for the user if for address we have the boxes, as we all know, name of street, municipality, house number, etc. Otherwise, in Estonia, you could put your data in any of those fields and you would basically get the same answer. So for the demonstration purposes, for the address, I will use my own address and show you how the search environment is conducted. Now probably is one thing you can notice, that searching for address means that you actually have to know how the address is written. We'll have house number 1. In Estonia, in case we didn't put this box of legitimate interest in the system because we think it has to be solved in a different way, and therefore everyone is available for everyone can access search. The search is free, and if somebody wants a document later on, then there is where we should check the rights and interest. So as you see, this is some of the example how we can search for data. But now I would also like to ask Manfred Buric to come here and show the differences and how Austrian form works, because there are some things built up in a different setting. Also illustrating for you guys that every country can choose pretty much how they build their national forms, but we cannot influence too much of how the wide pan-European search form is presented. So here is my colleague from Austria, Manfred Freisel. Sorry if I got the name wrong. And then he will demonstrate the Austrian form.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Manfred still, but not Buric. It's Manfred Freisel from Austria. I'm working at the computing center supporting the ministry, and we have done the implementation of the Austrian part during this project. So now I'm going to show you what the differences are when it comes to the searching in Austria. So now I select the Austrian. We also have only one register. You imagine you know already the forms. So now this is already the entry picture, which is different to Estonia. We decided to have more than one search form. We divided the searches into what are you searching for. So we, for example, we made an own search form for searching for the name. And in Austria, for example, we don't have an ID like Estonia or maybe in another country. So we only have the first name and the surname, and eventually also the date of birth. So if you remember, we can try the search for the Mr. Kevin Gruber, that you can see that eventually you will get the same results, except that we, of course, only get the Austrian entry for that. So any further step I won't show you yet, because you know it already. There's no difference. The system behaves afterwards as you have seen already. So I just click on the view details to show up as basically the same which we have seen before. So I step back to the search and now just explain to you, for instance, we decided to have one separate search form to search for just for the ID of the property, not to have it all on one page. We think that this is easier to understand for everybody who is searching. So if you eventually know already the ID of your property or any other property, because you are a notary, you have your papers in front of you and you know the ID already. So why not having the possibility to search for just for this ID? So I just want to try to enter the one example ID. So it's just doing the same before. So yeah, now you see what can happen. I was failing to write it correctly. So this is already one example. We had to invent some rules doing the ID, to enter the ID, because in Austria it's not only one simple number, it's built by some format. And this format is eventually not supported in the current search options of the Commission. So I failed to do it, so I just have to correct it. Should be a minus. Why? Okay, yeah, I'm failing with the keyboard now. It's a typical user fault. Not only the Y and the Z in the American and the European. Yeah, where was it? Oh, okay, thank you. So, thank you. Now we try to search. Now we get, eventually you see we get another result where we get, for example, we get no address. This is also an example of the differences of the variety of the data in a land register. So this is also an issue over all countries. So the data structure and the contents of the data in the land register can be very different and can show up differently on the result page. So I step back to the search form just to show one thing more, and then we can end up. So, for example, again, in the same idea, which we invented to search for the property ID, we invented to search for the parcel number, for the piece of land. There's also an ID in Austria for the piece of land you own or somebody owns, and if you have this ID by hand, you know it already because you are the owner. Of course, you know what you are owning, and you know the ID, and you want to get an excerpt from the land register, just to hand it out to somebody else. So you can search directly for the parcel number. So try again to put something entered. Now it's only the numbers, so I won't fail it. So last time, give an example. So again, nothing is found. Yeah, again, a user fault. I just mixed the numbers. So I should enter here, 65, and enter here, the longer number. Typical fault. So now this is the result. You see, this is a parcel which it has an address available. We can use the view details, and that's it. Yeah. The point is to show that the kind of searching is totally individual in each country, and depends totally on what you have a database, what do you want to provide to the European people, and how to find some information in the land register in a different country. And this you can make available. You have seen that it is very individual and totally configurable. So this is provided by the LRI system. So that's it from my point of view. As I said, I was heading the design in Austria for this. So any question, you're welcome to ask me right away, or I would say behind, because we are lacking your time. So anytime you want, you're welcome. Thank you.